Welcome to a year in review.
We will be covering major topics that occurred throughout the world from August 2024 to May 2025.
Some of our topics include local, state, U.S., and international news, also politics, distressing news, pop culture, and science and technology.
Buckle up and get ready for your year in review.
Let's welcome our special guest, Abby Dixon. Abby, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Do you have any current event topics on the top of your head from the 2024-2025 school year?
The presidential election?
Were you old enough to vote in the presidential election?
Yes, I was.
Did you vote in the presidential election?
No, I forgot to sign up.
As always, remember to practice your right to vote. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome.
I'm here with Isla Hughes. Isla, can you tell us any current events that you can think of off the top of your head?
One that I can think of is when I was in Vegas over Christmas break. We were there at the same time the Tesla exploded in front of the Trump Tower.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, it was crazy because we were only a few miles from where it happened, so it was all over the news, and we saw some of the cops and stuff around it.
Oh, that's crazy. Thank you, Isla.
Of course.
Here we have Ashlyn Price. Ashlyn, do you have any current events topics that's happened during the school year?
Pope Francis died and a new pope was elected today, and this new pope was from America.
Very good, thank you. For our local news, we want to bring an eyewitness of the damage of the EF1 tornado that hit our local community. This tornado caused lots of damage to nearby land and buildings, and our friends and families were affected as well. Please welcome Seth Brandt. Seth and his family were affected by the tornado. Seth, how did the tornado affect you and your family?
It was pretty crazy. The trees were chopped in half, and there was stuff everywhere in our yard. Even like the neighbor's grill was in our yard. Yeah.
Wow. Were you aware of it happening at the time, or did you have to wake up the next day to find any damage?
Yeah, actually, I was still awake, and me and my dad were on our way to the basement while it was still going through our yard. So, yeah.
I'm sure that was crazy to experience. Well, thank you, Seth, for your time. And up next, we have Maddie talking about the bird flu outbreak.
Thank you, Trace. Local chicken farms in the surrounding counties, including Darke and Mercer County, have been affected by the bird flu outbreak. This past February, poultry farmers were affected by this disease and over 10.3 million birds have been killed. Ohio has lost over 39% of their chicken and turkey population. However, producers took quick action by implementing strict biosecurity measures to ensure health and safety of all. With Ohio being the second largest poultry producing state in the nation, egg prices have increased drastically, and we have definitely seen that in local grocery stores.
Our third local news topic is the Peony Pageant. Van Wert County held the annual Peony Pageant. Our very own Ella Davis represented Lakeview and came home second runner-up. For our first state topic, we have J.D. Vance being elected U.S. Vice President. With Donald Trump winning the U.S. presidential election, Ohio is proud to represent his running mate, J.D. Vance, who was from Middletown, Ohio. J.D. Vance is the 50th Vice President of the United States, deputy to President Donald Trump, and potentially the future of the president's long-running populist movement, Make America Great Again.
I have here Trace Clausing to talk about the LA wildfires, a tragic event that shocked the country and burned thousands of acres of land, leaving many people with nothing. Moments like this allow our small community to come together and save parts of our country. What was this like to experience this?
It was kind of surreal. Flying into LAX, you could see all the damage that was happening, and you hear it all over the news, so it was kind of crazy to see.
Did you see anyone affected by this event?
I didn't see anyone personally, but I think you could really see the ramifications that it had on the city.
Thank you for your time.
For our second and last U.S. news topic, I will be talking about the hurricanes that affected the eastern portion of the United States. Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton were the two devastating hurricanes that affected that portion of the United States. It left many families without shelter, food, or water, and it was very hard for people around the world to help the ones in need who were affected by this natural disaster. Mrs. Leith was here to collect, organize, and deliver hurricane donations that were shipped to the communities on the eastern portion of the United States. Mrs. Leith, what influenced your decision to have the Lincoln View Service Club help with this time?
Well, whenever natural disasters like that happen, we know it's things out of our control. And I always try to look for ways to help others, even though they're not in our community, they are in our country, and we should be able to, when I saw that area organization was taking a collection, I thought it was a great opportunity for our students to get involved, to learn how to help others.
Awesome, thank you. And what made you express that kindness and also have like the students at Lincoln View give that opportunity to them to also help as well?
It's just how I was raised. My parents taught me at an early age that we give to others and we give back to our community of which we lived. So it's just something that has always been instilled in me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For our first political topic, we have the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump won the presidency and began his administration very quickly. He changed the names of geographical locations, implemented deportations of illegal immigrants, and increased tariffs on multiple countries from around the world. He changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which sparked a lot of debate throughout our country. To add, he also used ICE to enforce immigration and to deport illegal immigrants from our country. He's deported thousands of illegal immigrants since the beginning of his second term in 2025. Moreover, in April of 2025, Trump instated tariffs and increased tariffs on multiple different countries from around the world. Ethan will talk more about this topic later in our newscast. On our next topic, we will have Maddie speaking on the Department of Education.
Thank you, Trace. On March 20th, President Trump signed an executive order to begin shutting down several portions of the Department of Education. Additionally, any school or university that was funded by the DOE was ordered to end any focus on diversity, inclusion, or equity within their facilities. Today we have Mr. Mendenhall, the high school principal, and we would like to know, have you personally seen or experienced any changes from the change within the Department of Education?
No, we haven't really seen anything here at the local level. Primarily, our funding comes from the state level, state and local levels. So I don't foresee any major changes with that. We do receive federal funding for Title I funding, which is like a reading recovery program in the younger age groups, and we also receive some funding with food, the federal food programming. So those are the two major areas where we do receive funding, but the overall like piece of the pie of our federal funding is relatively small compared to local and state.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Our first international topic is tariffs. On February 1st, President Trump signed an executive order that imposed 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. 2 days later, Trump would pause the tariffs on Canada and Mexico while China's would stay in place.
Last December, South Korea's president declared martial law, trying to get rid of civilian government and replace it with a militaristic government. These actions shocked the world as North Korea was rather peaceful, and as such, civilians, military, and parliament all resisted this claim, and the president canceled the claim only after 6 hours. This ultimately led to his impeachment on December 14th. On March 28th, Myanmar's second most populated city was struck by a 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Then 12 minutes later, there was a second magnitude 6.4 earthquake. These earthquakes had massive effects, toppling buildings, tearing the ground, and killing several thousand and leaving many injured. The effects of these earthquakes could be felt as far out as China and Thailand, causing mass destruction.
For our last international news topic, we have the death of Pope Francis. On April 21st, Pope Francis unfortunately passed away due to a stroke, which led to a coma and irreversible cardiac arrest. His death certificate also stated that he was suffering from type 2 diabetes and hypertension. The new pope has been elected. Cardinal Robert Prevost is the new pope. He is the first American pope in history.
For our first topic of distressing news, an accidental but tragic collision between an American Airlines passenger plane and a Black Hawk Army helicopter occurred on January 29th around 8:30 p.m., killing 67 victims. The Army helicopter collided with a passenger jet just minutes before landing at Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. After days of nonstop work, all 67 bodies were recovered from the Potomac River, where they were then able to be identified. The investigation is still ongoing about what went wrong in order for the absolute tragic event to occur. Investigators state that they are using evidence to learn what happened here and to make sure it never happens again.
On January 1st of 2025, there was a terrorist who drove a truck through Bourbon Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. This left 14 people dead and many fearful of what was to come. It was very distressing news to hear, and it was difficult for the country to navigate. That is all for our distressing news topics. Next up, we have topics over pop culture.
Many events happened in the pop culture world over the past year. For example, one being on October 26th of 2024, the One Direction star Liam Payne fell to his death from a third-story balcony in Buenos Aires. After much investigation, experts revealed traces of alcohol, cocaine, and a prescription of antidepressant in Payne's body during the time of his death. Medical reports indicate that Payne may have fallen in a state when he was unconscious. His funeral was held in Amersham, England in November. Additionally, in the pop culture world, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour came to an end after a total of 150 shows across 5 continents over the span of 2 years. The tour shattered sales all over the world and made an impact globally. With us today, we have Beth Hughes, who attended one of Taylor's Eras Tour concerts. Beth, tell us a little about what it was like to attend Taylor's concerts.
There was a lot of people there, a lot of people who weren't even going to the concert. They just wanted to sit outside. There was chaos for like the merch line. I waited 2.5 hours in line for that. It was really fun, good energy. I don't know. It was one of the highlights of my summer that year.
Cool. It was popular to dress like one of Taylor's eras. So did you partake in that? And what era did you dress as?
I did. I was Reputation. I had like a black glittery skirt on. I had like clips in my hair. I had snake earrings, a snake like arm cuff, lots of like glitter just everywhere. It was all black, obviously, because Reputation. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Scientists claim to have recently revived the direwolf, though some could argue that statement is quite far from the truth. Let's ask someone who might have more insight into the matter. Mr. Owens, would you say the animal they made is a direwolf?
Partially. I would say it's a little bit dire wolf, but mostly a modern, normal wolf that runs around here.
Are you for or against the idea of reviving extinct animals?
I think I'm for it. I think it would be interesting, and I don't think the Jurassic Park idea will ever happen. So but if they want to mess with that, I think that would be cool.
And finally, if you could bring back any animal yourself, what would it be and why?
Probably a saber-toothed tiger or a short-faced bear. These are really big Ice Age predators that would be cool to watch hunt.
Thank you for your time.
That is all this time for a year in review.
Thank you for watching.
We would like to thank everyone who made this video possible.
Until next time.
As
As always, thank you, Mrs. Ford, for a fantastic year of current events.